trees in the park?
Sure.
Did you say that we need to do a company on the rest of them, or you just need more help taking them down?
In my opinion, they need to come down from the top down.
That's what I was thinking. On those two big hackberries, I know they're real crazy. Over the ones by the stream.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
There's one by that picnic table up by the front that's like dead at the roots. So I don't know if we could get that one. Because it shouldn't be too close to anything we couldn't manage, I think.
Yeah, I just don't know which direction that one's going to go.
We ran out of paint when we.
Yeah, and then like the pine tree or whatever that is by the gazebo, I don't see any reason on taking it out.
I think that one's probably fine for now. But
yeah, it's not dead.
Yeah, those hackberries are a little scary because they're like dead.
Yeah, and some of those, if somebody came out, if you actually topped out some of that dead stuff, they might not have to come down, like those two big ones by the creek.
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering.
We actually did talk to somebody with Bruce, I think 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of Howard Fritz. I just saw him
I was
Saturday, but I didn't. He was at a birthday party. I didn't talk to him about that. But
well, he's a local guy and he cares. Hi, Jennifer. We'll let him put his stuff down and then we'll say the pledge of allegiance. All right. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike and everybody got the webcam going, and so we are live right now. And so we'll call to order, and Tim?
Here.
Justin?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
Okay. Please review the agenda. Do we have anything to add to the agenda? Like at the end of the meeting, let's add it now. Yes, ma'am.
I need to tell Stephanie I just have a few quick things. So.
our department report.
And I just have an update on our volunteer stuff and things. Just really.
Okay, then we'll come in the comments and if that's okay. And council people, do you have anything to add to the agenda?
It'd be to accept the agenda April 22nd.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Unanimous. And now approval of the minutes, please review, and if you already have,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
all in favor? Unanimous. Additions of the appropriation ordinance 1461.
To approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Tim,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Public concerns and comments, Marcia.
Update on the build down there, the site. We did get most of the rock moved that we're gonna have to reuse. They could not, we were supposed to have 11 people and for some reason 3 people didn't show up, so we didn't get it completed. So we moved the rock to a storage across the street. There's a little bit left there. There's 5 or 6 really nice big ones and we were gonna put a bench in anyway, so we might as well use our natural rock that was hauled in for a bench. And so I was gonna go down there with chalk, but every time I'm gonna go down there, it rains. So which ones I wanna keep? There's one leaning up against a tree and there's a triangle. I wanted a couple square ones I think would sit really good and that rock would sit on there and we'd have our natural bench. And we can just put some more mulch because I want it to be right there by a shade tree where there's already mulch and it would just add mulch so there would be no extra mowing around. And then if there is any of that chat stuff or anything available anywhere on, that's what we'd like to put mowing and weeding in there. And so I'll probably be going down there in the next couple of days trying to do a little extra cleanup and get those rocks marked. And then anything else that's there besides those are not needed. We hauled everything that we need across the street. And we got permission to store it over there. So and then they'll be back in October. So on that particular project, that's where we stand. I mean, we'll move the kiosk and the sign after they're done, I think, just so
You're gonna wait
they have
till we're
room to
done.
get in there and work.
Okay.
Because there's so many that are inside and have to be outside to make that work, and it gets tight when they're working on the corner. We did put them to the test by putting a point on that thing, a triangle. And the stone guy was thrilled, because he likes those kinds of challenges. So
Oh,
nobody else will have a wall like that.
That's
We're
good.
the only ones that will have that wall. So as far as that goes. And just second, really quick, I did dig safe like you asked him, and everything's been marked. So that's a 15. If anybody's gonna do, you have 7 days to do it. Or
You mean on the
on my
township
property.
side?
On my side.
Or on your
On
side?
my side's all marked. Everybody came out and marked, and that gives us 15 days to do something of some sort. So if anything's gonna be done, if not, then an extension needs to be garnered for that.
Do you have any ideas or
Yeah,
suggestions?
that one call permit said work being done by City of Eskridge, but I didn't know what I didn't think you decided anything. At the time.
I did not tell him that. I told him I was doing the marking for the city of Eskridge so we could look at things. And then he said that's what they put.
Hmm.
So in the old days, because I'm way older than anybody here except for maybe Dolly,
There you go.
and you called somebody and they came and marked, and then the other people come and marked theirs. So, except for the phone company, and they didn't want to be bothered, so. I know the line doesn't come in there anyway, but if we dig it, it's their cost, not ours.
And CenturyLink just changed locators. Actually, USIC is not doing it. We did an emergency locate here about a week and a half ago. I know there's about a 500 pair of copper and a fiber in the ground, and they emailed me and said, all clear. We are not in your dig area. So
Yeah, that's what they told us, and I
it's gonna
know,
be a problem.
mine comes down, and comes in,
Yeah, they
and
marked
it
it the
stops at
last
the
time.
alley.
When we dug the corner out and put that dirt in there, they had marked that on that bed
I know, so.
on Fifth Street. So.
So anyway, but we're supposedly in the clear. It won't be on ours. It'll be their fault. They didn't. So whatever y'all want to do, let me know.
You don't have any ideas or suggestions for us? Because I want to do what's right, but I don't have any idea what that is.
I've given all the suggestions that I know, and I know they don't fall into the realm. And I know that part of that excess water comes from that area where we can't dig because there's a fiber buried there.
Did you get that marked?
I didn't mark the county side. I marked my street. I marked all of my area. My whole block is marked.
And I talked to Elvin. I mentioned it to him after the last meeting, and he said JD was working with that and D or something on doing something. So I don't know.
Well, JD and I were with the impression that you were going to call and find out where that fiber optic cable was.
I called 1-800-BIG-SAFE for the Fifth and Locust location where my problem was.
That would be the township's.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't cost them anything to do it
It's
either
free.
as far as up the road. But
So,
no, when I was up there marking it too, and Drew and I talked today about trying to clean that too, if that's what you want done. First, before replacing it, we found a jetter nozzle thing that might work. I've never used it. I don't know. And I don't know, but like that berm and stuff, it hasn't cut that berm. It has where it turns down Fifth Street where the water is going down the hill rather than straight behind your house.
Yeah.
But
still,
I don't think that is fatal.
no, we are still yet to get those rains, and that's my fear.
Okay.
That's what I'm afraid of, Mike.
No,
The
I
amount that we're getting,
understand.
so much water damage.
I feel
So
like
now the dirt is growing stuff. I mean, it's growing natural. Can't seeds.
No,
But,
I seed it, but like
know,
I
it's
said, we
holding-
plan on seeding it.
it's
But
holding
when,
for right
I mean,
now, but-
if that was the case that it didn't work, we're gonna go in and tear that
Tear it
out
out
and
anyway.
replace the tube like you want, and
Yeah.
then you'll have
Let's see
a
what happens.
huge river coming towards your house. I guarantee you.
So I don't know. It's just years, and I clean it out, and then it goes in, and I chuck it out, and I clean it in, and it's just ongoing. And I'm not getting any younger either to be out there digging around in there. So that's my problem. I'm begging for help because I've fought it alone all this time. So any and all help is welcome. And I've tried to do what you guys want me to do too. And I guess there is an ordinance. I can't just go pick up rock, I guess, unless I'm picking it off the side of the road. I can't go to anybody's property and pick up rock. I can't see something over there and go get it. So you gotta have permission. And that all has to do with native stuff. technically by law, nobody in here can even go pick up an arrowhead anymore.
Really?
It's all Navy. It's protected.
As far as that project, what does that pertain to? I'm just,
Oh, Dolly told me I could go pick up some rocks and put them up on my berm up there anywhere, cause we live in
sorry.
Well, Buncey
I was in the
County and
dark on that
Flint
one, so.
Yeah.
and I can't just go pick up anybody's rocks.
And
Unfortunately.
my pasture doesn't have any rock in it.
Yours doesn't.
No, it's,
Good.
it's got a lot of topsoil and stuff, but I got some, I'd ask somebody.
I just can't see me trying to build one of those things up there and then that portion's underneath, so I don't know. Desperate.
Okay.
Especially if it rains in again.
Do we have more of that chat? What was put on the street?
A little bit. It's pretty dirty what we have, but I was told that the stripping crew has moved into the quarry. I haven't confirmed that, which I can't believe they have this quickly, because I think they are out of road rock now or very close. And they are supposed to be crushing more clean rock, which like that 3/4 clean would be good if it's for that, which I would recommend that. I mean, the chip seal will be fine for now, or maybe we do a little bit of that just to give an area where they want it. We can spray it and keep that down. And when we do get some 3/4 clean, dress it with that because it's a nicer rock, cleaner rock.
It only needs like that much.
Yeah.
It's
You
not
gonna
very
put some fabric under it or something so things don't.
Whatever the guys say keeps the grass out of there so they don't have to move it.
We can do whatever.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, your department, right? Shall we do park first?
Sure.
All right, Annie.
I just want to give you a few quick updates. Carrie did order the piece that you guys approved. She just went ahead and stuck with the one, something we can build on later and add more to, but I think she felt like, let's just get it done. So, we are gonna move our progress in the park, which we originally planned for May 5th, and it seems like everything has fallen into that weekend. So we're gonna move it to May 18th instead. Our goals for this progress in the park are some flower planters we want to put by the gazebo. The swing set, I think we're gonna try to paint and add mulch, and then if we get that equipment in time, we're gonna install that as well. And then I didn't know, I was trying to ask you about what trees we may be able to still take down, but if you don't think any of them are safe, then I guess we gotta find another way to go about that. But I thought maybe that one by the picnic table, since it seemed kind of open.
It's very well, yeah, but the trunk's open. That's what I'm worried about is which
Yeah.
direction it's
And
gonna
I
go.
can
when
get,
you
I'll
start
make
it.
sure my dad's there, because he helped install the equipment at the school, so I thought he could help us with this piece. And then we're gonna try to do kind of an appreciation day with like hot dogs and grill for the people that have donated, so you guys are all invited to attend, even if you just wanna come get a hot dog. I don't know what time, actually, what we're doing yet, but that's the date we're for sure doing it, so. As far as like the city guys helping us on the weekend, I don't know if I need to ask permission for that or just ask Mike directly. How does that work?
You mean for like, having a truck available or something?
Yeah,
or
just to make
pump?
sure.
Okay.
Yes. Mike, do I just ask you? If you're available.
I don't have an issue with that. I mean, if there's nothing going on or even, I mean, getting something there as far as equipment goes, I mean, not worried about charging them time for it. It just kind of depends. I mean, I'm not gonna tell the other guys they have to do it
Right,
and not
no,
get
no.
paid for it. But I mean, if one of us was willing or available, nothing else going on, I have no problems with that. Or even if it was drop something off and come back and get it or
Okay.
something like that.
That's what I was
Or
kind of, some of the stuff I know is bigger than me.
and if you have people helping you, if you talk to me ahead of time, if it's someone that's I'm comfortable with, you know, minimally using some of our equipment, you know, I would run that by the council, but I don't have an issue with that either. But
Okay.
there have been issues in the past with volunteer labor and I can do anything and then we end up fixing things. That's what I want to avoid. So,
Right, that's
I
fine.
mean, if I give the blessing on it and then something happens, I will take full blame for that because I thought that person was capable and they can yell at me, not that person.
Good to know. I just want to make sure we do that the right way.
Yep.
We're gonna go that road. And then the last thing is, we have been asked about the memorial several times, and since we're getting this piece of equipment from the whipple money and then the Fry Memorial, money. That's been done. I was looking into maybe we could also do something with Memorial, because a lot of people said that the flagpoles were the last bit that needed to be done, or at least aside from bricks. So we're hoping to do that with some of the money that we already have, but I wondered if we could use the wire Memorial to finish purchasing the flagpoles and the lights, and also move the existing flagpole. So, because, well, Brett, you know more about it than I do.
First, is everybody, we were thinking that we would move the flagpole, the current one there, to the memorial. So instead of buying 3 new flagpoles, we would just reuse the one that's there that's only about 5 years old anyway.
Makes sense.
Is
Makes
anybody
sense.
opposed to that?
I think it's a good idea.
Those not, yeah.
Okay.
So then we purchase the 2 remaining, and then the 3 would all go with or in the memorial. I'm not sure what the setup is, but
Well, then if anybody wants to donate, in particular to the memorial, they could probably do that and designate the money that way.
okay.
To the, if they wanted to donate some money just for the flags or something like that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's what I was gonna ask, because last time we just got the Fry Memorial money for that playground equipment, but the wire memorial, we didn't actually move to us.
Is there enough there for the flags?
It's 1,500 for the Kenny Wire Memorial, and quoted was about 2,500, but I don't know how much less. But we have still the donation that you guys generously gave us from Christmas, and then I think there's a little bit more in our account that we could actually do it without touching our campaign money at this point.
Okay.
So we could potentially get it now if we have the
That's
addition.
moving the pole, that's buying 2 more poles.
I don't have all the quotes, right? I need to talk to Norm about installing it, because was he gonna volunteer that work?
No,
Okay,
no.
so we have to pay him.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to talk to Norm about all the rest of the quotes, but I'm not totally positive. I'm just hoping that all together we would be able to afford putting it in. And I'm sure they would move some money or something if we need to finish it out. But that's my goal.
The pole that's there, it does have the sleeve that's planted in the ground, and then it's got sand around the actual pole that's in the sleeve to pack it. I don't remember how we put that sleeve in though. If it was just tamped dirt or if it was concrete. Pulling, I mean, it could be dug out.
Could you just buy another sleeve?
That's what I was wondering. I don't know. I mean, the diameter of the pole very
Plant the
possibly.
flower over the top.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember putting that in because I think the chamber bought that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but something to think about.
Do we need a motion to transfer the wire money over for this?
Yes.
Seconded for a lot of movement.
All in favor for transferring the money, wire money over to the flag memorial? Does that sound good? All in favor? Unanimous.
So we'll work on getting more information on that so we can get it done. But that's the big thing. I don't think was there anything else that I was just gonna ask?
You know where you're gonna put the toy?
Not exactly. At this point.
If you contacted the company that sells it to find out, can you plant it somewhere and then move it later if you change your mind?
Oh, I will ask them. I'll double check that.
I'd definitely like to know that before we, go too far with it.
Okay.
But you don't have an idea yet. I mean, I know that we had like 4 ideas the other night when I was here at the other meeting.
I just, because we were talking about using the ice skating rink potentially as the playground. But I didn't want to just stick it in the concrete and then, kids be running into it trying to play basketball, So I don't know. Because we would be refinishing it too if we did it that way. So we're kind of still working on the placement of the playground itself. I don't know. It might just be down by the merry-go-round or in that area at this time. But I'll double check on if we can move it after we.
I do like the idea of having it down there.
Yeah.
Move
The
it
other
without
one-
having to buy something else that's not reusable after you plant it, that type of thing. Yeah.
Well, the other thing about putting it in the, if we were to go with the skating rink, that's a lot more expense just to plant it. I mean, you got to drill into that, and then
Yeah, and
I think
that's
it
what I
also
was
should be protected. Whatever surface you're going to put on it,
Yeah.
and they don't give that stuff away.
No.
Just when you chip up those tires you want to pull out.
Well, that's
Do
right.
that.
Putting it in the
Stump grinder and
concrete,
go at
we're
those tires.
probably gonna have to raise it in some fashion so that it doesn't have water settle on it anymore at all. So I'm sure it's gonna be a much higher, or at least, domed in some way so that it doesn't have water settling in it anymore. And then the word again to get the material that you put down, because we'll have that as well. So I hesitate to put it in the concrete at this point, but I'll double check before we do anything to if we can move it after we install it. I guess that's the big thing.
On the memorial, back to that real quick.
Okay.
Are you guys, is your ultimate thing you want to fly flags 24/7 there with light?
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
put lighting, yeah.
How are you gonna get power over there?
Solar.
I think we're looking at the solar powered ones.
What do you make that face?
I'm not a big
Was your
fan of
guys
those
good?
solar lights
So
either.
we put one on the pole that said the chamber bought one and it didn't last.
Yeah, it lasted
long
less
at all.
than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Before it was broke. But I think there's way less activity like that going on in the park than there was at that point in time. So
I guess that circles me back then. Did we ever get anywhere with putting a camera in the park? I think we were gonna
It's
research.
It
not
won't reach
real
here.
easy.
They won't do it.
Not
and those
real
flags
easy.
will be directly across the street in the vision of houses now, and not in the middle of the park where it's blocked. The vision's blocked. I mean, it's direct view of several people's houses.
If,
Right,
the only reason I brought that up, if you want to entertain the idea, where the power comes in now to the pole in between basically the gazebo and the bathrooms, it's a little welded up metal box with a disconnect in it that puts power to the bathrooms, the gazebo, and then somehow over to the tennis courts to another disconnect over there. If you wanted to redo something and put in something that's more proper with maybe has separate circuits on it, that part of the park, we could get something over there. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, but as far as maybe dig something to the memorial and then something else, I mean, anything else you do could come off of that area. Or if you wanted to pick a spot to possibly have West Star move that pole and then start with a new disconnect that, because like cameras with a DVR, a server, something, I mean, it needs a building, it needs something to be in. If you're ever going to have like an actual secure little shack that could host all that and internet and phone and whatnot. But, and you don't have to make that decision now, but
Right.
it's doable, kind of
Okay.
like we did the stuff at the lake for the campsites. But not to that extent, not to that amperage, of course, just for some deals. But if we went from a new disconnect on a pole over towards the memorial and picked a spot to put a low, little branch disconnect to go to 3 different pole lights, something in the ground. But once again, that is more expense.
Right.
But
Is
I do
that, are the
prefer-
solar ones pretty expensive?
I do prefer AC to relying on solar.
$80 a piece.
What if we did solar right now and then when we
Right, no,
move forward
absolutely.
with
And
them, 'cause we're not the shelter
actual,
house.
like HID flagpole
plan
lights
for
are
that.
very expensive. The last one we did at the lake, it was conducive. We got an LED one that we kind of flipped around and mounted on the little rock wall out there that points straight up at the pole, and knock on wood, it's actually worked fairly well for now. It doesn't light it up real good, but it does light the flag. But some of that stuff can be. I know that was brought up in the past. Can it be done? I was just going to say it can be done.
Sounds like he needs to come to a park meeting.
Tell us how to do it. Yeah, I didn't think about stuff like that.
No, I mean, and that would be quite a bit more cost to you guys. That's why I was just bringing it up to the council. I mean, if you get an idea where stuff's going to go in the future, and that would probably be a good idea too, to kind of get your print and your plan together, because we don't want to put a bunch of stuff in where you're going to tear it all up again and
Mhm.
redo something. But
No,
something to think about.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Michael?
Sure. Let's see what I have on here. Okay. Couple things. Lyon County Road and Bridge is replacing a plank bridge on, I believe it is First Street. It is south of Allen. We have an 1.25 inch gas line going up the edge of the road, and then it ducks down in the ditch and comes out exposed where this basically plank bridge box culvert is. They need that moved. There are 2 services, stubs, service lines off of that. Neither one of them active, neither one of them have been active in a long time. I was planning on just abandoning that service back up towards Road L, which would be Main Street of Allen. I see no reason to keep that at this point. There are actually 3 total services. I was going to abandon that just east of the first service that is right off of Road L, and that would always give a spot to hook back in above ground if we needed to run something somewhere. NPL was going to come in and do that for us, basically just time and material real quick, dig it up, cap it, do a hot cap on it, and abandon that line so Lyon County could replace that bridge. So I would guess $400 to $600, something like that, to get that line capped. Just basically wanted to know if you had any qualms on abandoning approximately a half mile of 1.25 inch gas main that has not been used in years, at least 5.5, 6. So
She's just gonna cap it off before the bridge and then
Yep.
call it good.
yeah, everything else is just abandoned line afterwards. And we'll probably go up. They're not going to do it, but we'll probably go up and pump water back through. We have to do that when we abandon. We'll pump water through it and purge everything, fill the line with water, and be a done deal for that much footage. If we abandon 20 foot of line, not a big deal, but that much, make sure all the gas is out of it. But yeah, that's really the only thing. It's your guys' property, and I said we'd do it, and I told them, hang on a minute, let me ask. Cause
Are there any houses right off the side of that are gonna say, man, I've been wanting to come and ask you?
no, well, there is one at the end of the line. They actually have a riser in their yard, and they are all electric. So, and it's been there since I've been there. And that riser, I've located it twice. They built a deck and they built an addition, but there's just our line there. I don't think it's ever been hooked up. There isn't like a yard line next to it like it ever went to the house. I think it was just put in the 60s as an option. And then somebody built a huge house just to the south, probably a half mile, that probably could have got service off of the riser that's over by their fence line. It's just literally in a pasture. And they didn't do anything about it either. So no, I would say no. And even if they did at this point, they wanted service, it'd be their responsibility to pay for it to run it to their house.
I don't know what protocol is here, but would it be right to inform them of what we're planning on doing in case they want to say, look, I'll pay to rehook it up or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd be better off rehooking it, reconnecting, as opposed to starting from scratch 2, 5, whatever years down the road.
Yeah.
Is that something that we want to entertain or not?
If you gave them the option now, I would say that if they just wanted that option in the future, I don't know what the legality is on it, but they would be responsible for rerouting it. Because if we don't abandon it, we will have to reroute that line and probably
That's what I'm
bore it
saying.
out and around the bridge. But
Give them the option of,
Yeah.
look, we're going to abandon it, and if you want it, you're responsible for rerouting it, and it might cost this much money. So
They're gonna do that anyway, then, right?
yeah, I think it'd be cheaper for them to come off of the line up close to the road and run poly than reroute the steel. Yeah, no,
good enough.
I don't think it's a big deal. I just thought we should have your blessing to abandon a half mile of your gas line.
And you have mine.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay.
Does that need a motion?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. What is on there? I keep forgetting again. Bridge West Star. Okay. I have something here. I brought it up just a couple times in the past, and I've been trying to get back on it with rain coming in. The caretaker's house at the lake and the roof. I have some pictures here. I actually went inside. We're getting some water damage inside along the fireplace and one of the concrete walls and the stucco on the inside. A big chunk is falling out. There's some pictures to look at there. I talked to JD a couple times. I talked to him last week. We never did end up catching up last week for him to get a bid. I know he's busy. I thought he said he's out till possibly after July 4th on the shelter houses at this point. Justin Johnston did bid. I don't know if you want to entertain that right now. Even one bid, their time frame would be in June sometime. They don't know which week yet. They can't do it in May, but it would be in June. I think it's a necessity at this point with what it's doing to the interior of the house. But I don't know. I don't know if you want to see the bids right now or if you're going to insist on more, or depending on time frame, how you want to do that. I don't want to put anybody in a weird spot with any of
Well, it
that.
seems to me if it's leaking inside the house, we need to repair the stuff.
No, and I tried to do it last fall and tried to get some people together, and I know a lot of the people that are around that used to do a lot of this stuff on the side don't do it anymore. I know JD's been busy. I talked to him here probably a month and a half ago. We never got together. I talked to him again last week, and he thought we could get together at the end of the week, but we never ended up doing it. And just today I got an email from Justin Johnston on that, but I don't know what you want to do. Over time, I mean, we've done very minimal maintenance to the house. Last fall, I figured it up. It was a little over $14,500 that has been paid on this current lease with your current renter, as far as rent goes into it. I don't think we're definitely upside down. That all does go into the lake fund, correct? When the payments come in, all that stuff. So that would come out of the lake fund. But I don't know how to do that. Whether I
Well,
want
are
to
you
get more
wanting to
bids
bid?
or
Are you wanting to do more bids besides just the one?
you want the dollar amount? I mean, that's what I'm curious. If you're going to insist on other bids, I don't feel
Yeah, he
It's
doesn't want to put
okay
it
to
I
on.
wanna know what the dollar amount is.
okay. Well, I don't
so
feel
that
comfortable giving you a dollar amount when the whole
Yeah, 'cause
world's
that would
watching
give-
right now. When you're going to have
That
to
would give the bid away.
Yeah, that's
That's my only reservation. If it was just us right here, I have no qualms with it.
either sealed bid or it isn't. Yeah.
Are you looking at laminate or
Metal roof.
metal?
Yes, metal roof, no tear off. Some structure where needed on the back corner. It's a really dark spot on those pictures, where one guttering's been just dumping onto the roof to go into the other guttering, which will be corrected. It looks really soft. I think just cut out a little bit of sheeting there, and if they came across any other sheeting, that would be done. This bid is for all materials paid directly by us from the lumberyard, labor only, to the contractor. I don't know.
I don't know this Justin Johnson. Is he local?
Yeah, it's Richard Johnston's grandson, Brian Johnston's son, that did that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do another bid, we can run it in the paper and, but.
I've asked Danny Hughes about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sometimes," and then changed the subject. So he didn't seem real interested. I'm like, "I got you." He just doesn't have
Sounds
time.
like every construction worker ever.
Yeah, and I talked to JD. I think it was last Tuesday up there. If we could real quick and go out and just thinking. I mean, it does have 3 layers on it. I mean, it's missing some. They're starting to blow off now. It is leaking. The flashing's bad. But
3 layers. 5-inch screws.
yeah, well, it said 1.5 inches. I said 2 might be a good idea. I was like, run them in, see if you got anything to grab a hold of.
Yeah,
So,
something good and solid.
yeah,
I want it to slow down before it
yeah,
seats.
yeah. And like I said, I mean, if it needs extra screws, I mean, I don't know. Get them on there, get the metal on there. I don't see any reason to pay for the tear off. That's at this point with what we have. I think this will solve the problem for the long term metals, basically for it.
As long as the screws have something to bite.
Yep. And that's where anything that came into to soft spots and whatnot. But I don't know. I understand it's weird to throw it at you like that, but
I think we all probably know what the outcome is going to be, but nonetheless, I still feel inclined to run an ad.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's gonna respond.
Well, that just puts it off a couple
Well,
of weeks, so.
Yeah. I think it's only right that we at least give people a chance.
no, I'm totally fine with that. I just wanted to bring it up, and like I said, with the whole world.
Well, and
watching, I don't wanna give you
we'll put a
numbers.
time thing on it that it's gotta get done. It's whenever we put the ad in, do we want to say that we would need it done by a certain time? That might eliminate some people.
May 13th then, or sealed bids opened at the meeting on May 13th.
I will give these to you. Then.
And then,
Will you help her write the ad? So that's pretty
Oh, yeah.
descriptive.
Yeah, I mean, like my deal was, and I don't know how everything else was. and I know it's hard for people to do if they just bid in labor. Things come up, they are estimates. If you need a little bit more material, I don't think we've ever been harsh on that, but I would really like to buy things from the lumberyard over here. Bid your materials. The material list should be pretty much the same. They can go out and measure it, get with me, they can measure it and do whatever, and then just bid it. I know that's gotten kind of weird in the past with people, but if we can patronize locally, I think it's very worth our while. That saves us a lot of money having stuff over there that we don't have to stock on.
I did my roof over there. They were very compatible.
Oh yeah, no,
Very
I mean, it's very
compatible with
competitive
it,
on it too. I don't have an issue with that, but any stipulations like that, if you don't want to put that in there, if you do want to put that in there, it's up to you. But yeah, I'd be happy to help write it however you guys want it written.
Right what the job is. We need somebody to come out and put our materials on our house.
There you go.
Worded a little better than that, but
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, and that's basically how this one was
we
written
need
up.
it done yesterday.
Yeah,
If it needs 10
Like
pounds
every
extra
other
nails,
job.
we're buying 10 pounds of nails. We can do that.
thank you.
For that with those two.
Okay.
Other than that, everything's going pretty good. If the water plant doesn't act a little better in the next 2-3 weeks, I'll probably have KRWA come out and kind of survey things with us. I've got things to switch a chemical feed around and start feeding our secondary polymer again. It's the anionic polymer, the negatively charged one, cationic, anionic, whatever, to help out our primary polymer and do things. Our settling's good. Our turbidity's awesome. We're getting filter breakthroughs. I don't know if it's shearing off the flock and the filter. I actually took home one of the textbooks this weekend, and it's driving me absolutely crazy because every test we do, everything looks great. I mean, after our first chemical treatment, our settling basins, what's coming off the top of them with turbidity, which is the color of the water, technically we could just put chlorine in it and send it down without filtering in it. I think we're having some iron issues, possibly manganese. I think it's heavy metals that once we're hitting the chlorine, we're getting color again. It's not color you can see by any means, but it's higher than it has been at that plant intermittently off and on in the last 5 years. Things are changing. I think the water's changed enough. Our water's really, really clean coming out of the settling basins, and I'm not so hurting us. We've talked in the past about possibly having to dirty the water before we clean the water, which some plants do that get that type of thing. Basically what I'm saying, I'm going to utilize KRWA first rather than engineers. I mean, engineers cost a lot of money, nothing against them, but we have them at our disposal. They're highly trained professionals that have been doing it for a lot of years, and utilize that and try to figure it out. We are far, far from being out of compliance in anything. I'm just being really picky because it's April, the water's still good, it's full, it's cool, and it's starting to act a little funny, and I don't want to repeat of last year. So I'm being highly critical on what it's doing, but yeah, we're going to go that route. Keep you guys updated on that. Other than that, it's major stuff. Everything else I've got's on the agenda.
Got sand on there.
No, mid-May.
Okay.
And there's what we're planning on to avoid if we get any gully washers in between now and then. We don't just lose it for nothing. So
Good idea.
mid-May before Memorial Day, water warms up.
What about the rock at the barracks?
This week we plan on moving the loader out there and starting to haul some stuff out there. So
Is there a plan to try to scrape some of it that had been pushed over in the other?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, from the snowplow, yeah. And actually Jerry asked me, and I told him we'd be more than happy to try to get the church's rock back where it belongs and then come up that side and do what we can without tearing up the yard. And then we've got some road rock stockpiled now that we can haul out there and try to dress things back up.
Okay. Stephanie.
All right, so everyone has their 3 pages, and that's just lake permits that we've sold so far through April 15th. So first page are boat permits, and then fishing license, and then camping. So just thought I'd give you guys a little update on that. I attended the CDBG grant workshop last Thursday. I thought it went really well. It was basically just an overview of things that you need to be prepared for when you go in for CDBG money. And And so they kind of broke it down and talked about housing, economic development, sewer and wastewater, and I can't remember the other one, but I took notes and I have all the PowerPoints. So if anyone wants those forwarded to them, I will gladly do so. So I was also asked to show you guys this letter from the Chamber of Reorganization. I don't know if anyone has seen it. They would like some or one or all of someone from the city to be present at that meeting. So
I'm gonna
it's
go.
May 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
And then the last thing I have, so it's streaming on YouTube. How that works is you actually have to go to our website. So like people aren't watching us right now, they'll be able to get onto our website. It's embedded in there. You go to the government tab and then it shows up. The meetings are being recorded here and you click the link. On my phone, it popped right up like YouTube. And I click the YouTube icon and then it brings you to the page. So, and then it should just save all the meetings and they'll be able to go to our channel and look at my past meetings.
Do we need to post those instructions on our
I could post
website?
it. Well, it's on the website. I could post it on
You
my
already did?
Facebook page
Facebook page.
or email it to patrons or whatever you guys would like me to do.
Just
So,
to get the information out there and then they'll have it.
Can you put it on your page, on your watch page?
Sure.
You can put a link to the city website and say, hey, it's here.
Yeah.
Or even a reminder,
Eskridge told me.
on Tuesday or whatever, that we've uploaded a file here, you can go here to watch it.
Yeah, and it actually live streams. I don't know. Chris and I were kind of testing it today. It buffers, so it depends on.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it will go if you sit there and watch live stream, or if it's just better to wait until it's completely done and then go watch it. But
Yeah.
doesn't matter either way. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
I want to back up to Mike for a second. With the sewer, we're going to try to resubmit a CDBG grant.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Kramer's, like I say, I met with them. They did talk to USDA again. Yes, USDA is absolutely willing if they have the funding available. They don't ever know what they're going to have. I mean, they get their yearly allotment and then they look at all the projects and they divvy it out basically to try to keep people's user rates low. Same deal. They are going to do everything they can to help us. They can't guarantee us any dollars for sure, any dollar amount. If we don't go with CDBG, they're going to absolutely do everything they can to help us out more. May not be on the grant end. Some of it possibly could be to help keep user rates low. Could be more loan, which is fine too. But if you guys do want to go back with CDBG, did you talk any more about that?
I actually talked to Rosemary. Okay. She sat in front of me at the CDBG and she said she'd be willing to come back and talk to you guys. She was obviously pretty adamant that we go back to CDBG because the kayak is still good and our LMI survey is still good. So she was very pro going back. So she said that she'd be willing to come and talk to you guys at a meeting if you wanted her to. I said I'd let you know in email. So
Dollars and cents. She didn't.
she didn't.
Okay.
No, she said it would be significantly lower. What that is, I don't.
I mean, I've pushed this for 4.5 years that I thought it was really important we get it done. When we did the TV work, I think it's even more important we get it done. If you want to go after CDBG, where it's the last year for LMI, obviously I think her costs would be exponentially less than what they were to completely write everything, go to kayak, all that I don't have to do. I'm totally fine with that. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's over $500,000 that we're eligible for. So if you really think about that, that's what you want to do. I mean, things do get a little bit more expensive every year. I still hope that from what the engineering report is, we can do things, we can come in under budget. Me personally, I think all of that stuff is over budgeted, over engineered, and I think that's how contractors bid it. We'll get some more into this on the couple agreements I had to talk to you with. I think people can be dealt with and people can be negotiated with, just like you would in the private sector. So I don't foresee us being out another $1 million because we wait a year to try to get $500,000. Is what I'm saying. If you want to do it, I'm all for it. I support you on that. I'm not gonna push you and say, nope, we need to just borrow the money and do it now. So I did want to touch base with you on that as far as that. And if you want to have Rosemary come down, by all means.
And you'd be applying this year, right?
Yeah, it'll be for actually the 2020 disbursement, but yes, thing 20, that's the January 2020.
Well, I'll pitch in that we can't apply for two CDBGs at the same time. So if the park was gonna try for a CDBG, we'd have to wait till you guys were done getting this one.
Correct. And
Okay.
any CDBG, I mean, I believe you guys would have to apply through the city. So the city,
Right,
the
yeah.
governing body would actually have to do that. Yes.
Yeah. So we can't do it at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say is.
Yep.
If you're gonna do it soon.
Right. That's a $4.5 million sewer project. So
Yeah.
Let's see what we're thinking is the reason I asked that is because there were options for the park as well,
mhm.
but the dollar per dollar, the sewer grant
Oh,
is
yeah, I
way
understand.
more.
We have other options. So if
Right, and
that's
I
the
mean-
thing, then obviously you guys have a much bigger.
And I mean, if you want to weigh it up and look at probability too, I mean, matching funding, community support, all that goes into it as well. I mean, we can up our matching funds a little bit this year too, as we have another year's revenue, and make ourselves look better. The park asks for 400,000 and they offer 4,000. I mean, we're 40,000. It's it's a little different. So.
Infrastructure is very important. We all know that. Eskridge has actually done real well over the years, improving our infrastructure. I feel like the sewer project is our last big job to do, and then this little town will be sound. And then because we've got good water, well,
You're gonna need a
it's
water
like a
plant
house.
before
There's
we've
always
talked
something.
about
I
that.
know.
Your water
I know.
distribution.
We're not debating on who should get the grant.
oh,
No,
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 she
no,
knows how I
okay.
feel about the park. What
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
is,
yeah,
merely-
I'm just saying it.
No.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process, and the park's very important too. It's very important to have. I mean, you just have that for your people to use.
yeah, just because, the only thing is when you say $4 million, people go, what? And infrastructure for sewer is very, very important, but the park is gonna happen.
Oh, no, no, I'm saying we just
Yeah.
can't apply at the same time. That's what I'm
I
saying.
know,
So I would like you to go this year if you can.
I would too. And then when we need our next LMI survey, that park board can be out there.
We can probably.
You got in on that last time, didn't you,
Brad's
Brad?
like, nope, not doing that. That's a hard no.
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 I know I'd like to take a bias towards the sewer project, but I'd like to keep the options open. If there's another 10-to-1 park grant that gets floated out again, I mean, that was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of money for a little bit of nothing that we had to match. So
I
that's
haven't
just,
heard anything
you know,
about
if
that so far. But.
yeah, if we can kind of keep our options open to the point where the USDA looks like they're going to pull through and that park fund becomes available.
Yeah, the 10-to-1, that's probably not gonna be a
That's-
CDBG though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
Was that
CDBG. Give
That
it
just
to
sounds about
everybody
ridiculous
else.
enough.
Give it to everybody in the community or everybody in the county except us. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That was a bitter pill.
I'll
We were the
stop.
first done.
Huh?
We were the first done too.
Yeah, we did great.
Well,
At least we're not so bitter.
So would you like Rosemary to come to the next
Changing it
meeting
up.
maybe and lay out some details?
Yes,
I don't
that'd
think
be
it's
You
very
think?
good,
I
yeah.
think
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Yes,
No,
please.
I think it's just to get it written down.
all right. Any purchase requests or work orders?
I believe so.
You don't believe so?
I believe so.
All right. New city business, 150 Cedar Circle box transfer.
I was gonna throw something out. I apologize.
It's okay.
It's not necessarily a request, just something to keep in mind with the new YouTube. I have to get up and go in there and turn it on and turn it off, FYI. So if you guys ever go into executive session, you'll have to keep that in mind, unless you would like to get a laptop, and then I could do it from here.
You know, with a tablet.
Probably. Well, I don't know. Someone that's
I
more
would think.
technologically advanced.
I don't know how it does it. She was going through stuff today and I had
So
some
the
things
same
to do,
tablet
so.
that will do you. Take off, so.
What do they have for like government surplus? I know cities and such are supposed to get kind of first crack at anything. Do they have any good business type of laptops
You
that
look
might
at the
become
web
available?
and see if they've got
Well, that's,
anything.
you're talking about from state surplus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I stopped at Federal the other day and they had absolutely nothing.
Yeah, the only,
unless you needed 6,000 bed payments.
well, can those operate?
No.
You get a good price. buy
No,
more.
I didn't actually go down to state and look. They never have anything really great.
So, yeah, you just want to keep in mind, it's just something that would be handy. And yeah, I mean, as long as I had it for meetings, whoever, public officer, lake officer, whoever used it during the day, use it and turn it back in when they're done. So it's at your
I'm not opposed to
guys'
that.
discretion.
I'd kind of prefer to stay, I don't know, maybe on the used end or something, but that's,
Well, yeah, especially
dollar
for
amount?
basic.
but yeah.
I have no idea what that.
Throwing out 500, I
Okay, I was
don't
gonna say, I think you can get new for 350.
know. Okay,
I
well,
mean, I
Basic
did.
ones.
maybe
Yeah.
news a thing to do, I don't know.
And it would just need to be something super basic.
So we don't have, I thought we had a laptop already. We don't have one? We always use yours then, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, and I have something to say about public officer too. That would be probably handy for them to use. Do you want to do that, or do you want to check and see if it would be a tablet that would
You
work?
want us to do some research on that?
We could ask Chris about
Chris, what
that.
kind of peripheral would actually do it?
I'd
And
like to
Chris
ask
might-
if can a smartphone do it? Can the tablet
I
do it?
don't think,
It has to actually interface.
Oh, it does.
That thing's USB.
Oh, it's not wireless.
You know, I just ran the wire through all the bird feathers that are in the roof for some reason over there today to the
So
server.
it'd be really USB down here.
I hope you didn't dislodge a spotted owl.
I hope I didn't either. If I did, I'm glad it didn't bite me.
I don't know, does anything like remote desktop work on a tablet? Where you can just remote into that
well, it can
computer over
remote
there?
into the server.
It's
Yeah.
the actual
That's on the
server.
server. Yeah, you can still
Yeah,
remote
you
into that.
Let the professionals
possibly.
tell you how to do it.
Well,
Maybe.
Chris did talk about it, sitting back here with him. He did, because, yeah.
Yeah,
A laptop I know
Okay,
can
good.
remote into the
Yeah.
server. So
My
as far as
laptop.
that,
like the shared folders and stuff I can get on my laptop and it backs up to the server,
Yeah.
like just through something.
We can check with Chris and find out.
Find out what all the options are.
okay.
Because if you can
And he
remote
might
to
even
your
have an old
computer
one.
and then do it that way, that'd be sweet.
And ask him if he has any old ones,
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
because he's always offering me stuff.
All right. Sorry, I derailed us there.
But that's all right. Okay, the transfer the dock for grave to spent.
I'll move transfer.
Second.
All in favor? Transferring dock. Unanimous. Eskridge gas line, didn't you already talk about that, Mike? Or was there more? Oh, that's the one on Third. Lake. Okay.
2 weeks ago, I brought this up to you about the bridge and how we had a steel attachment and about possibly boring the creek bed there. I went back and did a little more work like I did on them for West Star's deal. I talked to Dave with LWID, and 11 years ago when they put the water line in south of the bridge, they went deep with poly line and did not hit rock. How, I don't know. Who knows? We would be on just the north side of the bridge through the creek bed. Asked Northern Pipeline to re-estimate that for us with a dirt price and re-estimate, because they gave us basically just, we're going to hit rock price before, which was like 19,200, I think, 19,200. What I've got for that at this point for you guys to consider. The estimate, all materials included, dirt price, they are putting in all the pipe, wire, pressure test, tie in, everything, back in service, done deal, 12,800. 400 plus feet of line, depending on where they set up. If they do encounter rock, which we will have someone there as a foreman on our behalf as well, they will upcharge. If they have to put on a rock hammer, pull out and put on a rock hammer, they will upcharge $17 a foot while they're in the rock. And then when they come out of it, it will go back to a dirt price. So it is still just an estimate, but it's very much cheaper.
How much was it to just hang the line on the bridge?
She thought it would be about the same. As far as building the pad, I still can't remember that thing they call that, where they hang you out over the side of the bridge, because then you got a pipeline welder and stuff involved. They still have to bring the poly up. And we were talking about the guardrail coming off the side that they're gonna put now that wasn't there previously. Have to dig a hole, we'll have to come out with an anodized riser or steel transition, which before it was a steel transition and we had an anode out there, and that piece of steel we had to check cathodics on, make sure it had protection. And then steel attachment back down, back to poly. So they're looking at that being more of a hassle to dig up both ends, have the poly down, bring it up, transition to steel, weld the steel, transition back to poly. He didn't give me a firm price on that or a firm estimate on that. I think if we do the bore, everything's poly. We don't have any piece of steel out there. It's a one and done deal. We're under the creek bed. So I don't know. It's not cheap. I know it, but
But it has to be done. They gotta get the gas over
it
there.
does have to be done. And that loops our line. Everything is fed because we're fed two ways right now. So we didn't have to, I mean, if we were only fed one direction, we'd have a bypass hanging in the trees out there or something right now, but we're fed both ways and this loops our line again. Every bridge we've done, we've had a loop line. So we've been able to feed both ways. If there's an outage or a line hit out there, which is probable with everything that goes on out there, and it's all polyline and everything's so close, we're always a loop feed. If we shut two valves, we're still feeding both directions. We're literally only shutting down a section. So I don't know. Yes, in my opinion, this has to be done. We have to put our line back through there. But
Okay, then we need to vote on that.
yeah, I mean, if you guys wanted to do that, then of course I will get an agreement from NPL to sign, and they can get materials ordered and be on standby for whenever they're ready. They just got back to work, I think, last week on the bridge. They were off due to weather, which I totally figured would happen since they were adamant that we got that line capped back immediately, so it didn't delay the project. But I'll give mine "I told you so" to somebody else another time. So.
You said 100. How much per foot?
$17 a foot upcharge for rock.
And 1,200, 800.
12,800 dirt.
How many foot was the total?
They don't know for sure. They are estimating 400 plus. They're getting, that includes a 500-foot roll of 3-inch poly. They actually have the hydraulic trailer, so they can do it in one piece. We can't unroll 3-inch pipe, it would kill us, but they have a hydraulic trailer that lays it out so they don't have to fuse anything. They'll have one shot. It depends on where they have to set up, how far back they have to set up to get depth. Once they get there, how deep they go into the creek bed. I mean, that'll change a little.
Okay. I think the bore's the way to go. I'll move to accept the bid for the bore option, 12.8 plus $17 a foot.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
We'll get the ball rolling on that.
Okay, West Star substation? Is that you?
That wasn't in the packet, wasn't it? It's pretty pleased. Thank you. Give me two.
Yeah.
Got them all. Okay. The cover page is a letter that West Star had sent back to me about their substation. And this is what I informed you of at the last meeting. Once I knew that MPL had got a second rock machine, went back, asked them to redo this. That's why I went back and asked them to redo our lake deal too and give us a dirt option. It reduced drastically for West's project. Todd, did you have any comments? I sent this to him.
I think it's fine.
I think that's good. If you guys approve by executing this agreement with TCP&L and West Star, or whatever they call themselves now, then we will hire Northern. We will get a contract and fill that out with Northern so they can order the parts and pieces. And they estimated probably a 3-week lead time, I think, last time I talked to Jesse on getting this started and done. So we'll have to do a little bit on that to stand by and make sure our tie-ins go good, and they'll have to stop our steel, and we'll have to monitor our pressure downstream and utilize line pack for Lake and Eskridge while they have that down. But it should be a pretty quick deal when they do the tie-in. So I don't see any issues doing it. Summertime's the time to do it for sure.
I move to enter the agreement.
Brad or Brett? Is it conflict for you?
Yeah,
It's enough of a conflict that I'm gonna say yes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. We have a motion and seconded for the Westar agreement for the substation. All in favor? 1, 2, 3 with one abstention. I can't see a word.
Yeah, we'll get going on that as well.
Okay, I need to sign something.
yeah, probably.
Is there an official one or one of these? will be?
Just any one of them will do.
What is that? Okay. By, does that mean, and then my name printed out? Title?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you. Okay. I'll do that in a minute. Looks like we're gonna talk about curbs in town. We need to do curbs on the streets because we've had a couple of people fall when they come out of our businesses. They step onto the curb that's not there. Because, they might be visiting with somebody and they literally fall into the street. And I was wondering if when we need to talk about it and then also talk to the different owners of businesses along the street to repair or replace their sidewalks in front of their businesses. Because it's nice to have a coordinated effort. I know that when they did it in front of we did it years ago in front of the store and in front of the restaurants. We coordinated with the curbing. And then they did curbing. Now, didn't they cut out though? Did they do curbing all over? Do you remember? I don't even know if you were born yet. It's been a long time.
I probably don't remember.
It seemed like they didn't do all the curbing all over. It's in my mind, and I don't know, Brad, if you remember, if they did just sections of the curbing here and there, but I know that at different times we've had the whole Main Street done. Looks like it needs to be done. So where does the money come from? It comes from special highway, right? Do we have anything there?
There's a little bit there.
There's a little bit
Or
there.
a fair amount of patch here before long.
I don't know if we have authority in that this year.
For special highway?
Special highway curbs?
For curbs.
That's a good question. Curbs along the state highway?
No, special highway can go for any of our streets.
Doesn't get much
They
more
use
special
special-
than state highway.
Years and years and years ago, they used a special highway fund for the curbing. Yeah.
To me, it seems appropriate, but
Everywhere.
I don't know. That's,
Yeah, it's fine.
where.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at that. I have no idea whether
You
that's
take a
what
look at
that
that.
works or not.
Nothing else. You can make a transfer from that to general and pay out of general. I mean, it's just really a shell game.
If we get that,
Okay, stop.
Strike that from the record.
Yeah, rewind.
Yeah.
No. It probably wouldn't be enough to do that. I know of some, you've had some curb and gutter patched in here and there, and I don't think any concrete guys are really interested in that much anymore. 10 feet here, 6 feet
Yeah.
there, 20 feet here. If they're gonna do curbs, they're gonna do curbs.
I know years ago they did curbs and then the next time they did around, they did the patching but right now our curbs are bad all over the place, so. It needs to be done.
That's a lot of money.
I know, but eventually somebody's gonna fall, get hurt, and they're gonna expect restitution. It's our responsibility, period.
It is.
To fix the curbs? I'm
Well,
sure it is.
but you're talking about two different things.
Oh, yeah, I know I am.
Liability wise, I don't think that's the same as, the need to keep it in good repair. I think depending on how you look at it, but I think if there's a crack generally wider than, what is it? An
We have
inch?
chunks of curbing gone.
Yeah, I understand that, but also it's an open and obvious defect. Meaning if you can see it.
We've been down this road before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already talked about this, and you've already said we're not liable if somebody gets injured from off the curb. Yeah, we've already done this. And
Put your phone in your pocket and walk. Sorry.
Well, the two people that are falling so far, we're talking to they're walking out to their car and one person was walking and literally where they stepped, there was that much curbing gone. And so So when he stepped in that, he fell out there. And of course, she watched him fall because she was on the other side of the car. So this is something we need to plan on doing.
It'd be cheaper to buy a sign that says curb.
Well, and that's something to think about. I mean, stuff like this in the future, yes. I mean, maintain your infrastructure. I mean, the key thing really is moving forward. I mean, God, if you guys would go to some of the stuff that we go to and talk with, people on the state level and national level, you have to maintain your infrastructure and you have to maintain your rates that let you afford to maintain your infrastructure. And for cities like us that have the revenue funds, yes, ultimately that takes care of the infrastructure. For us, it also gives you that money to transfer to help replace the infrastructure that is solely funded by a tax base. I mean, our tax base cannot afford to do that. So our revenue funds of the citizens and the people in our community, even outside of our community to a certain extent, that's how you fund that. I mean,
You
that's
couldn't
the
even
goal.
increase your taxes fast enough.
Oh,
to take
good
care
Lord,
of
no, no,
because
not
tax
even.
lit.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how you
But-
guys have been going to those things, but that's what Alma had. That they had a streetscapes project.
It was a
Straight up.
streetscape grant, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I don't know if it was a federal, maybe
I can't
federal
remember.
project. Yeah, but
But yeah, that's what I've talked about many times for Eskridge having.
yeah,
That
that's
would-
I don't know necessarily how
We have to be enticing to do it though. We have to show that we can maintain stuff and pay for stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean it's awesome when you spend $6,000 to smash a house. Yes, looks a lot better. But that $6,000 is a lot of money for us in a fiscal year out of the general fund, an unexpected expense. I mean, it's doable. It's done. It's a done deal. We'll make it work. But then when you look at that, I mean, if you need $50,000 to do the side of Main Street curbing, I mean, it's a lot of money without help from
That's
that,
where the
without
1%
budgeting.
sales that was voted
Yeah,
down
very well could
been
have.
very
Yes.
beneficial at this point. It
Absolutely.
would have been over 30 grand.
That's when we were fighting over the police officer deal, and we turned that one down too.
No, and I mean anything like that, and that stuff too, and that almost looks like a transient tax too. I mean that tax is anybody that comes through town. It's not just the people that live here. Yes, I mean we would pay a little bit more. I mean buy stuff every day, and in a year's time, it's crazy what you end up spending on your lunches and your pops and everything when you're in town all day every day. But it's also a transient tax, and I
You
don't
buy a
discourage.
bunch of stuff off Amazon, destination based.
Yep.
You're paying the tax.
Yep.
So
And I don't discourage you guys for looking at that stuff. And we are looking into a water rate study right now. We're with KRWA getting on that to do some things that I would like to do to plan ahead with our distribution system to get us more in line with looking at a plant upgrade. But I'm utilities number one. That's what I worry about. But a lot of this stuff has to be done. It will have to be done in the future. And I think our revenue funds are a great way to help fund that. I think if we work together, you guys can make some good decisions to, adjust rates, budget for that, and keep doing it. We just have to budget for it.
Well, I think they can look at it as this town has always, I mean, we increased sewer prices and stuff as we needed to.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but back when a century ago, half a century, when I started coming to we were paying $2 a month for sewer. And so we increased that so we could have the monies there to take care of maintenance and stuff. So the city people and the councils have responded to the needs of the city. And I think we can, if anybody questions that, we can always show it. I mean, we fixed water lines so that we don't have water breaks all over town. And that's why. It's because we finished a water project. So I think that overall the city has taken care of quite a bit of its infrastructure. I think it's something we're going to be proud of. We just need to do this one project also because it also is unsightly, but it's unsafe. And I to gather up money to get this done. Do we want to have a work committee on that, or do we just want to keep talking about it at meetings? Because Mike can't do everything. Can you?
No, we just have to figure out a way to pay for it. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and things have been done in the past, but if you look at the averages, I mean, that's what we look at. That's what we're presented, and we look at, inflation and costs of doing stuff. That's why we go to these classes. I mean, we are behind the gun, and you don't want to do that to your citizens and say all of a sudden, boom, here you go. I mean, they don't deserve that. It's not in our right mind. I mean, in an absolute emergency situation, we don't have a choice. but to raise our rates and charge that. But to do it just small percentages on a resolution at time to time, I mean, it doesn't hit people. I mean, everybody has inflation.
tax.
Yeah, and I mean, that helps too. That's just coming out of nowhere. You designate it for something and boom. I mean, especially for something that revenue, such as park streets.
Well, I think if
Sidewalks.
people know what the money's
Stuff
going
like
for,
that.
that always makes a difference.
I
They
agree.
will pay more, and they will pay a sales tax, or they'll pay proper tax increase, as long as they know where the money's going for, and as long as it's a reasonable increase. So,
Stephanie, did you get a chance to talk to your sister about the meeting,
I talked to her a little bit, and she,
about the guest they
mhm,
had?
yeah, she said she was great, and she was going to give me her information. She hasn't yet, but I need to talk to her about getting.
Do you
some-
know much about this person that talked about all the grants and whatnot?
Hmm.
I
no,
don't want to believe that she has all the answers to everything that there is, but she sure sounded like she does. As far as getting our LMI audit and stuff, she thinks that we can get that done for free. There's a group at KU that does that. That's what they do. And LMI and something else that I think they would do. Anyway, and there's a lot of other, for the dollar match on a lot of grants. She told of other options where it doesn't have to come out of our pocket. There's other grants, for example, the Lowe's or whatever. Wish she was still here.
The Lowe's, Home Depot.
Lowe's or Home Depot, or she mentioned, I think Kohl's or Target or something. A lot of these places just have like the federal government mandates that they give certain amounts in grants. And most of that money just sits in the account because nobody ever even applies for it. That money can be used as your match. So anyway, I thought that maybe if you could get that gal's information.
For sure.
She doesn't, it's not her job, it's her passion. Because she doesn't charge you to do what she does.
we had a lady out at the lake years and years ago that did that, and they,
Oh,
yeah, and
Carmen?
Carmen.
Well, the thing is she was just giving us her knowledge. She wasn't volunteering to do the work for us. She was just setting
But
us
that
down
was
the
usually
path.
enough to set us on a path. That's right.
And
But the KU thing about not having to pay for that and them doing the grant for us is huge. As
They
far
write
as
it
That
out.
sounds awesome.
They
Yeah.
administer the grant, or they.
maybe that's what they would do, is administer.
yeah, and it was
Or-
I forget what the fee was called that they took instead of us paying them.
And she was saying most of these grants are kind of like an application of any sort, where the first half of it is all basic, your same information on all the first lines of the first half of the grant. And the second half is your essay, if you will, or whatever, about what it is that you're needing. And she'll sit there and tell you about certain buzzwords and things that you throw in there that really get their eye and make them want to give up the money more easily. So,
So did you meet her at the
She was
Park
at the
meeting?
park board meeting.
Yeah. That was yeah. You should
And-
come visit us.
she was more than willing to say, give me a call or whatever. She lives in Harrington, so I kind of feel bad about asking her to drive clear out here. But she came out for the park committee.
She's, yeah, I was gonna say, we called
Yeah.
Tammy before on the line. We could do a conference call during a meeting or a work session or
Might be even better work session to kind of get a feel of it before you guys talk about it.
Yeah. Actually.
So I would encourage you to get her number
I will.
and maybe talk to Annie if you want to get some more insight on exactly what her position is or something before,
Mhm.
if you want to, or if you just want to call her.
Okay,
But
for sure.
with your training you just got, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, just a few days ago, plus the other stuff that I want to drown you in this grant writing stuff.
No, it's good. It is good. There's a lot of stuff out there. Just gotta know where to find it. So.
But if they have something, I know that curbs and gutters is one thing that she mentioned when she was rambling about all the different options that are out there. She just,
And CDBG, that's open for them too. I didn't go to the CDBG workshop at the water conference. I just didn't want to go sit through that. I still have a little bitter feelings, but rural development talked about that a lot and how they coincide with CDBG. And I mean, it's flat on there. I mean, street projects, stuff like that. I mean, if you're in dire need, storm sewers as well as sanitary sewers, I mean, CDBG will cover about everything. I mean, even the housing stuff like that went around, which that's a whole other ballgame.
Commercial buildings, they talk
She
about
was-
that.
She was listing
Yeah.
lots of different options
She's
of where to
very-
get the grants
right,
from,
and that's-
not just
Yeah,
CDBG.
I was gonna say, I mean, CDBG is very,
Yeah, she
very,
listed
very
like
competitive.
dozens.
Yeah, I wish so much, but in fact, can the park committee borrow that for their meetings to record?
Oh, yeah.
That would have been such a good meeting to record, but we're all scared to go into your office and look.
Oh, yeah. I can show Annie.
She's got a booby trapped.
Right.
Bear traps. Or do bear.
That's right. Yeah.
She's playing.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
There was some question about putting an advertisement for, and I thought we'd made a motion for us to go ahead and put an advertisement for, getting some applications in for police officers part-time. We did approve that, right?
Stephanie?
I did not remember. Did
Well-
we?
And just in case we didn't,
And I went back through my notes and I'm like, but maybe I just missed it.
but I don't know, does that take a motion to put an advertisement in the paper?
Well, if you intend to hire somebody, I guess, I would
Yeah.
hope so, yeah.
All right. Well, just in case we didn't, let's do
Especially
Remember
that.
doing
since it's.
Well, I know we talked about it and I thought we made
Head
a
of
motion,
department too.
but she went back
It
and
says
she
the head of
defined it.
department too, so you know, you can't,
Yeah,
I think
Okay.
you can just say hire, put an ad in the paper
yeah.
for maintenance person, they can do that. I can do it.
I was with the understanding that we left it, I guess tabled it is the word I'm looking for, until that officer could come back and speak with us again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, unfortunately, he's this is the third meeting that he's been busy. And he usually calls me the next day and apologizes for it, which, because I know they're busy, there's only one or two guys for this great big county. So I thought we, maybe just have a call and direct us on an advertisement, just something that made sense. And then, get some applications in here and then maybe then he can come in and give us some advice on what we might want to look for. Although I think most of us have a pretty good idea what we want. So anyway, can I get a motion to put an advertisement in the paper and we will consult with the head of the Maple Hill Police Department on the
Are
wording?
you thinking that we're gonna have this person also as our public officer?
I was gonna talk, that was my next thing. We do need another public officer. Ours resigned today. And so, we either need to advertise for another one or that's something they could do. We could combine that if you want to. Cause they have in the past, so. We could include that in the advertisement.
That would get them more hours anyway, that's,
It would.
yeah.
But
Might
would
make
you
it more
paying
worth
them?
their while.
Yeah, would the pay be the same from one job to the next? I don't
It
believe so.
wouldn't be.
Well, I mean, you'd end up paying,
Would it
That'd
be
be-
pay the one that just resigned?
What did we pay?
Mhm.
I think it was, it's been a while. I think it was 11.
yeah.
So a cop is gonna want $20 an hour, so he's gonna be
No,
doing.
$15.75 was what they talked about.
How much?
With what?
Wasn't it $15.75 for what they were paying the one in Maple Hill?
Oh, okay, that's,
So it wasn't 20.
oh, you said 18.75, okay.
I
was
thought I
thinking
was
around
under the
16.
impression that none of them were gonna do it for less than 20.
That was if they were gonna go through the police department, but I don't think so, no.
Sounds
When
like we
he
have
was-
lots of questions for Eric.
Yeah, when he was here, we asked him about that. That's why.
I think that we should,
$15.75.
request him to come to the meeting before we do anything to talk to him.
You've been advertised to get applications?
Well, yeah, we don't wanna advertise and then be
If people
sitting
call up
on
and say,
it.
what are you gonna pay me? Well, I don't know yet.
Well, we don't want them waiting 2 months or a month or whatever for an application that they put in for a position.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, we still don't have police protection in this town. And we have been
We do
having,
have police protection. I think somebody just got arrested last week. So there is a police officer in town at that point.
Well, I know there was a police officer in town.
yeah, once in a while. Oh, never mind.
Today,
Just never mind.
2 different cars.
Yeah, the new cars. They got new cars. I know. So, yeah.
That's what they're driving around so everybody can see their new
Will never
car.
catch me.
Never take me alive, Tucker.
The only reason they were in town is because they were picking up somebody on a warrant, so. They weren't responding to a burglary or anything. All right. So you don't want to advertise for one until we talk to Eric, and so hopefully he can come to our next meeting.
I just don't feel comfortable advertising for a position that we don't know what we're gonna pay them an hour or anything like that. It's just a little bit premature,
Well, you're
I
not
think.
sure what the job description is going to be too. If you're trying to add on another position.
Yeah, that's something we can think about now, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
And then, are there any cases pending from a public officer from Becky's prior work that hasn't been followed up through? Like, is anything sitting and pending?
I'd have to go back and look through her stuff.
Seems like there probably is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
some of these houses that were sent a letter and then, yeah.
And if we had an officer, we could actually have them serve people around because we've had that problem before where we didn't have anybody to serve papers on anybody. Because they don't serve our papers.
I
County doesn't
like
do
the
that.
idea of combining the jobs even with paying officer wages, for
Well,
your
we did
public
that
officer.
with, I think, 2 of our different officers in the past. We'd have a public officer.
When they're out, they're serving papers or they're doing public officer work, they're still available to respond to law enforcement calls. And that's what I like about it is
Because
they're already right there on the job doing
They're gonna be
something.
patrolling and
They
doing
can go
something
do something
while they're
else.
patrolling.
Well, along that same vein, I know this isn't gonna win me in a popularity contest, but something else that we've done in the past is had the city guys take pictures and the clerks send letters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was for like tall grass and
Yeah.
junk vehicles and yards and
Well, Todd, is there any problem with that? I mean, could I run around because I've been wanting to take some pictures of some trash behind. There's
No,
no
I
problem me
mean,
doing it.
technically, it's public complaints can lead to the same kind of enforcement. So essentially, you're at the point at which it's just a public person,
Citizen complaint.
citizen complaints.
Because we have that
the
on
one we
Beta
had in
Street.
last week's
Every
last
man for
meetings.
himself.
Take it easy. We actually have a couple.
idea.
It's got such a sense of humor here. We've had some public complaints about,
Everybody's required to own theirs.
well, that's in the past, people have done that. They've complained about
So
smells and
Raccoons.
raccoons,
and
that's right.
cats.
And then
Again, my hobby. is keeping
trash
cat.
being put back in,
Here we go again.
coons and cats.
raccoons and cats. And now starlings added to that,
Yeah.
because the
As a
starlings
junior
come.
associate.
Well, that was a question I was gonna ask you, so now you answered that, so I can do that.
And it's actually hard to get people to write a complaint, so that'd be good because
Yeah.
most people come in and complain, and I say, "You want to fill out a complaint?" And they're like, "Well, no, I don't want to put my name to anything." I'm like,
Yeah, that's, you kind of like to have that witness if you need to.
yeah.
I mean, pictures are gonna cover your
Well, you
letter
see-
and your initial complaint, but if we have to go hammer and tongs, we really kind of like.
Well, and
something
if the problem is a smell, a person when they go take a picture, and if there's a whole bunch of dog manure or whatever manure, and they can smell it, that they can be the complainant too.
Scratch and sniff photos.
We got a motion to adjourn?
I think we're tired, so. Yes.
I'll second it.
Oh, wait a minute, stop. I need to, talk to you guys. I was going to talk with Tammy about if she needed to resign because she hasn't been able to come to any meetings and she's been very sick. And I didn't know if I was the one to talk to her about that or if you want to talk to her or you, whoever she's comfortable talking with. Because I know she's been very ill, and we really have enough work that I could use another person on the council. I think we all could. She hasn't been able to come to any of the meetings, and not even. So what do you think? You know her, you see her once in a while, don't you? I have no problems calling Tammy. We're getting along there after a while.
At some point, that does have to be addressed. We can't have 5 city councilmen that never show up. I mean, so something's gotta be in place at some point in time to address a situation like that.
So then logically, how would you go about replacing it? Would you go back to the prior election?
What
No,
the only way you can do this is if she voluntarily
If she
resigns.
voluntarily resigns, if she doesn't voluntarily
She
resign.
voluntarily
then
resigns,
we
there's a vacancy, then you guys nominate.
Because I think
Or you
the
nominate
council
and
dealt with that
approve.
before.
Well, yeah, when
Well,
Joe
her term
Wayman,
up, or-
well, she replaced somebody. Yeah, and so, but the thing of it is I was gonna talk to her about it and see what she wanted to do. If, I just wanna talk to you guys about it.
I mean, yeah, technically you can, remove somebody from office. I don't.
No,
mind.
I
Not you
don't
guys,
do that.
not you guys, that's not you.
I
Well,
don't,
I
I
mean,
would
yeah,
wanna do that
special-
anyway.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
That's,
Well, it's not even a special vote, it's gotta be the county attorney who does it. That's not gonna be, you guys don't have the power to remove an elected official or send by ouster.
Don't wanna do that.
Yeah, so I mean, if she wants to resign, that's up to her, and then at that point in which you get that going, then,
Okay,
you appoint and you guys approve,
yeah.
just like anybody else.
Mhm. Okay,
Your motion's still back on the floor?
he made a motion to,
Brett,
and Brett,
Tim seconded.
all in favor of adjourning? There we go.
I would like to point out that you asked like times if we had to add anything.
I know, and I forgot all about it. You can call me on that.
For the record.
That's fine. I am properly
I'm
chastised.
gonna go burn up my squirrels.